Welcome back to the June edition of the CNS newsletter. Texas Matt here, and I'll be guiding you through some of the newest and most important topics in the past month. We'll be talking about speed limiters, baby formula shortages, CDL company contract training, and we'll even be taking a seasonal walk with truckers. We have it all, so come with me. You'll see. You might take a stand and be the next Paul Brand. Done. What? Okay, sorry. The CNS newsletter starts right now. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more up-to-date video blogs, newsletters, and more on our future podcasts.
Let's start off really slow with the topic raising some eyebrows and turning heads at just the right angle to convey confusion.
Yep, speed limiters. Look, we get it. This is how you make your living, and you need to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible, and the FMCSA wants you to get there as safely as possible. Speed and safety don't usually mix well, but it is the solution to safer roads, making sure your truck can't go over X miles per hour. I say X because not even the FMCSA knows how fast you should be going. There are a lot of hypotheticals on what different speeds will do, but one thing could be certain: it definitely might save lives. Now, with that confusing statement, we will say that saving lives is pretty cool. That is really the business we are in, so we do support that. You can read the full article below or wait for a longer video breaking down this topic further. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for an alert once it drops. Next up, the ATRI has released their 2022 Top Research Priorities report, and at the top of their list is the OG of drugs. Yep, weed, dope, hashish, ganja, or if you're the serious type, cannabis or marijuana. The ATRI president, Rebecca Brewster, wants to look into the states that have changed their laws to allow for legal marijuana. The worry is that these states don't have a way to field test drivers to confirm whether a suspected driver is high. We think it's easy. Just pour hot dog filler on the road and see if anyone comes over to eat it. If they do, there's a good chance they're on something. Or even better, just tell them they were pulled over for speeding. Their response will be, "I don't drive that fast when I'm high." Field test complete. Some other items on the ATRI list are climate change, driver training, and a few others which you can check out in the full article. Check the description below for the link. I'm sure you already know that baby formula has been in short supply since February, since the FDA closed Abbott Nutrition's plant in Sturgis, Michigan. So, in addition to the COVID hours of service waiver being extended again, the FMCSA has also issued an hours of service waiver for anyone hauling baby formula or ingredients used to manufacture formula. So the waiver only covers you if you are hauling to either manufacturers, distributors, or stores, and if you try to claim you have waivered goods and don't, you won't be basking in the greatness that is Compliance City. You will be on a one-way ride to Fine Town. Fine Town? What's that, Matt? Well, it's a lawless place that even Captain Compliance fears. Ostrich meat isn't cooked at its recommended temperature of 155 degrees Fahrenheit, the man fixing your roof didn't get the right permits, and when you drop your car at the Audi dealer for a basic oil change, you can be sure that the mechanics are going on a joyride and doing donuts in the parking lot. It's terrible and you should never visit it. No worries though, CNS will make sure you never have to go there. In 2019, California's governor signed Bill AB 5 into law that makes it harder for employers to classify people who work for them as independent contractors. The worker is considered employed unless all three of these conditions are met. 1, the worker is free from the control and direction of the hiring entity in connection with the performance of the work. 2, the worker performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business. And 3, the worker is customarily engaged in an independently established trade, occupation, or business of the same nature as that involved in the work performed. Now, the biggest issue for the trucking industry is the second condition, because hiring an independent owner-operator would perform core activities for this business. So under this rule, my brand new business, Matt's Taste of Texas and California Trucking Company, will have to give all independent owner-operators the same health insurance and other benefits that are offered to other employees. This will cause a substantial increase in costs, leading me and other companies to save that money by reconfiguring or eliminating routes, or even worse, leaving the state altogether. Now, this law went into effect in January 2020, but a federal district court granted an injunction that exempted The trucking industry from the law while the appeal works its way through the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court denies review or hears the case and sides with the Solicitor General's brief, then AB 5 will go into effect for the trucking sector immediately. If it is reviewed, then it will be another waiting game as there's no timeline for the review to be completed. Next, we have a compelling topic that I think we can all relate to, even you non-truckers out there. And that topic is the 4 seasons of trucking. Ah yes, just like the seasons of life, these periods of time can last a couple of weeks to a couple of months, indicating segments where a trucker can take advantage of what he hauls and when he hauls it. We could start with January, my favorite month. It's something about that miserable cold weather settling in and no more work holidays until Memorial Day that I just love. So, this period lasts from January to March and is typically slower than most. After the holidays, the trucking industry remains quiet as the winter weather keeps a large portion of drivers off the roads. What we do see an increase with is the produce being shipped across the Mexican border. In my home state of Texas, we start seeing onions and fruits being harvested for transport. Avocados and guacamole. And don't be fooled, avocado is a fruit and the earth is flat. April to July is the produce or reefer season. As temperatures rise, southern states ramp up produce transportation to the northern states. This is a good time to be carrying produce in reefer units since we see a 30% increase in freight rates that ship these high-paying loads. As a trucker, it is important to pay attention to your regions of interest during this time due to the differing needs for product shipment. Next, we have July to October. Ooh, the spooky seasons of trucking. Produce is moving steadily to the Northeast and Midwest. Back to school and holiday needs are being met. Truckers are shipping products in and out of warehouses. Rates and volumes are peaking, and the roads are exploding with freight. In the end, we reach final season in life. Trucking? November through December are when companies get last-minute orders in for the holidays, and rates surge with the demand to move products. Carriers can find high-paying loads as businesses are shipping overlooked products, delayed products, or last-minute items. Drivers can often see 10 to 20% more miles during these months. Towards the end of this season, carriers and truck drivers begin to take time off before the trucking cycle restarts. You should pay close attention to these 4 seasons of trucking if you want to maximize your profit. All right, next up are the rising premiums. You're required by federal law to have at least $750,000 in coverage per accident, although that number feels meaningless since most shipper contracts want a minimum of $1 million. But now, lawmakers want to make the minimum coverage up to $2 million. That's a big jump, but we should note that the increase is considering inflation. The biggest issue with that jump in minimum coverage is that it could run a lot of small fleets and owner-operators out of business. To put it in perspective, fleets paying $7,000 to $8,000 per truck per year could see those numbers double. A coalition of truckers, farmers, and manufacturers recently sent a letter to the Senate committee warning of the economic impact that would follow if the insurance rates increased. These people are essential in the industry and know what it takes to succeed and what would create potential roadblocks. Speaking of roads. That's a weird word.
Roads. That's a total weird word, isn't it?
I seem to remember talking about a roadmap to success myself recently. So, if you do want to start a trucking company, that's great. We encourage you to do it and want you to succeed, which is why CNS Insurance is now offering a free 7-step guide to start and run a successful trucking company. This roadmap will give you tips, secrets, videos, and some beefy articles to digest and talk about at the water cooler. But remember, just because you have a roadmap, it doesn't mean the path won't have any speed bumps. So take the first step in changing your life. Click the link and get the guide. Now it's time to talk about the rather frightening topic, and that's the 13% increase in truck crash fatalities in 2021. The NHTSA has released some new statistics about such fatalities, which indicate a 10.5% increase since 2020, which is a reverse trend from prior to the pandemic. How does this affect you as a trucker or owner-operator, you ask? Well, let's look at some of the stats. When it comes to large trucks over 10,000 pounds, the total estimated fatalities for crashes involving at least one large truck increased by 13% from 2020 to 2021. This estimate is based on the involvement of large trucks at the time of the crash for both commercial and non-commercial vehicles. Since 2010, there has been a 52% increase in recorded fatalities involving large trucks, with a 97% of those fatalities being passenger vehicle occupants. This statistic will impact future legislation on things like automatic emergency braking, installing speed limiters, and raising minimum insurance requirements for trucks from $750,000 to over $2 million, all of which may have a major impact on the bottom line of many fleets. Check out the full article, which has tables listing all the statistics. So, you're a carrier that needs more CDL drivers. The new law is in effect and future drivers need to pass a certified CDL training program. You could start up your own internal course, get it approved by the Department of Education, and start training your employees. Or you can partner with a third party like us and take advantage of our company contract training program. As a driver, you can only take advantage of this in two ways. One, you received your permit before the February 7th deadline, or two, your employer is willing to pay for your CDL training. Our CNS Driver Training Center offers one of the first one-on-one CDL training programs, which means you don't have to worry about your future driver fighting for the attention of the instructor. CDL instructors will tailor training to the needs of the driver and work with their schedule, sending them through the training at a much faster rate than a large school and at a fraction of the cost. Through 7 or 8 sessions broken down into 4 and 5 hour increments, your new employees will be ready for the road in no time. So you want a piece of that American pie, the land of opportunity. Maybe even pop over to visit Detroit while you're here. Well, we invite you to do all of that. But first, as a person seeking citizenship or a visa for residency, you must get an immigration physical first. Immigration physicals, otherwise known as green card physicals, are used to make sure you have vaccinations needed to avoid the spread of common infectious diseases. After passing your physical, you will be valid for up to 2 years from the date of approval. Being prepared for your immigration physical is helpful and will speed the process along. As a start, you should have everything listed here on hand when you arrive at your medical provider. Your passport or other government-issued photo identification, an unsigned copy of Form I-693, immunization or vaccination records, a copy of your medical records, and proof of medical insurance and prior x-rays, if applicable. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Guidelines mention 4 conditions that can mark you as unacceptable, which include failure to provide proof of vaccinations, a contagious disease that poses a threat to public health, a mental disorder linked to harmful behavior, and drug abuse and/or addiction. During the medical exam, Dr. Green will perform a check of all the usual suspects like eyes, ears, nose, throat, lymph nodes, skin, extremities, heart and lung function, blood pressure, as well as a hearing and vision test and tuberculosis skin test. Dr. Green will also be reviewing your medical history, such as surgical history, past illnesses, current and past medications, and any chronic conditions you may have. So if you find yourself in need of an immigration physical or have questions, just give us a call. Our experienced team is approved by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services to complete these mandatory medical exams. Well, that does it for this month's newsletter. We had many ups and basically 0 downs this month. Good job, Texas Matt. I do want to leave you with one last bit of advice. Ostrich meat should be cooked above 155 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, that does it. Good night, and don't forget, subscribe.